flying by the seat of our pants. There was nothing for our industry. We only had like maybe 5 new signups a month. I don't know how to sell to people. Now our front desk is a money generating machine.
This is one of the best things that we've done.
All right, what's up, Parkour Gym owners? It's me, Jimmy Davidson, and I'm here at the Parkour and Performing Arts Center in Lincoln, California, with the gym owners Elle and Lon. And they went through our program, launching marketing, launching sales training, launching CRM, adjusting some prices and how they actually pitched the prices. And we're going to hear from you guys how that went, how that impacted not only your business, but also like your relationship with your business, your relationship with your future and all that. And I'd like to kind of get into the little nitty gritties along the way, hearing about, especially if there's anything that like you were apprehensive on, wasn't sure was going to work, things you tried in the past that didn't work that we revisited this time, anything along the way.
Hi, I'm Elle Beyer, and we're with the Parkour and Performing Arts Center here in Lincoln. We've been at this location for just over 3 years, but we've been around for close to 14 years now.
Hi, I'm Lon Beyer. I am Elle's husband and co-founder of Parkour and Performing Arts Center. We have just signed up with the program with Motion Mentors, and I just have to say it is honestly a game changer, worth every penny that we spent, and still going. We are very, very happy with this program.
Let's kind of take it from the beginning. Tell me, what were you guys up to before? Let's actually say before you came to our event, which was PKNDCon. Because my relationship with you guys was, first I helped you run that competition with USPK, and then we talked a little bit about it. So, if there's anything that you took away from there, then cool. And then you guys came to PKNDCon, and then the rest, we started working together. What were you up to? What was the legacy before all that had happened?
I would say we were just like flying by the seat of our pants kind of thing. Like, we've been around for a while and things really changed after COVID. So I kind of felt like even before COVID, it was hard. It was a hustle to keep our doors open, to just crush it and get people to be interested in what we had to offer, which was different and unique. And sometimes being different and unique is like your biggest selling point, but also it's hard to get people out of the mindset of like, I just don't know how my kid's going to get a scholarship if they do that, So for years we had this like great programming, but I also felt like we had to rely on a lot of external resources, like, have enrichment programs out at schools and have, really push the birthday parties and do all these other things to create revenue streams. And so that was before we joined Motion Mentors. And when we met you at the competition, I was really impressed with your organizational skills. And so I was like, okay, this guy's really organized. He knows how to create systems. That is the exact person we need in this industry, is somebody that can create very efficient and very effective systems. So that was like my first impression. And I didn't even know you had a motion. I didn't even know you had a mentorship program at the time. But towards the end of the comp, you had mentioned that you had it. And I was like, okay, like if there was a guy that would be perfect for that, that would be Jimmy. And so then I looked into PKNDCon and we discussed going there. And I was like, okay, we probably need to go to that to see what he has to offer. Fully aware that we were going into a sales funnel kind of conference thing, which I'm very familiar with because I've done lots of business conferences, but there was nothing for our industry, nothing specific, and that was, something I had wanted to see happen. I just hadn't seen it yet. So I was like, okay, maybe it's here now. That would be so amazing because it's something I knew we needed. I knew our industry needed. And so when we went to PKNDCon and went through the, just a tiny bit of the sales training, I felt like these were all tools that we could take back that would be very useful and effective. And they were. And I think we signed up about a month after PKNDCon. We just used basically just some of the tools and they started working immediately. So that's when we were like, I think we gotta do the big thing, that like just go all in.
Just a couple things I want to add about legacy prior to meeting you. We are a family gym, husband and wife, and we had one other partner. We actually have a martial arts background, which is a little bit different than a lot of, I think, parkour gym owners. We run the gym like a martial arts gym, but parkour is actually our main thing, and we treat it like almost like a martial art. But we basically were going to jams and doing, Jackie Chan parkour training, like out with all the parkour guys in the area. And we literally saw this need of a place to do this inside. So we didn't have to worry about weather. So we didn't have to worry about all the issues with doing it outside. Didn't have people bothering us when we're walking on the walls and like police coming up and trying to stop us and tell us they're doing something, even though it's not illegal, and they're trying to control us. And we had so much of that. And I mean, and this was like, 13, 14 years ago. And parkour there was definitely a lot of people doing parkour at that time, but it was kind of a rising thing. And when we decided to open the gym, using all the knowledge that we had and the people that we were with, we were able to create a curriculum, and we told people about it, and it was huge. They were just like, "Whoa, a gym for this? This is like, we do this at the parks, we do this in the, the building graveyards and like all these other places so nobody notices us. But having an indoor place just specifically for this is like unheard of, specifically for parkour." And it was awesome experience. Yeah. But there was no programs for parkour at the time. That was the whole seat of the pants thing. We knew how to run a martial arts gym, kind of a membership based thing and whatnot, but everything that we were doing, we were basically having to create from the ground up because it was different. And, everything that we did, we learned from experience. Oh, we need to put these and these rules in place because this keeps happening. Oh, we cannot just have people come and drop off their 3-year-olds because then the parents leave them here for 8 hours. So like, I didn't think that was going to happen. We have to have all these rules. And so all these rules now we have in place, like, is because of the seat of our pants, like necessity and experience. And then we meet Jimmy and all these other parkour gyms, and they have all the same exact rules because they went through the same thing. It's like this community, they know what we're going through. Yes. And it's like, yes. and that helped with it, when, like signing on in the first place and going to PK IndyCon. And then we went to the con and it was just like, oh, these are our people. This is like, we actually have a place where our people that know what we're going through. And, and some of these people don't even realize that they're going to go through this stuff, but we've been around for so long. And, but this is amazing. And we can talk about it and we can have all the support and we have someone that's like a genius that's putting these systems together. And like, and I'm just so happy that someone emerged. Yes. And we have that kind of thing, system to follow now. It's amazing.
Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that.
I'm serious. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And like you said, we do like have a sales pitch at the last moment of the last day, but then it's a 3-day event. So, the first 2 full days and then 3/4 of the second day is all like information, strategy, working together. So even if you show up with $0 in your pocket, the idea is to take what you learn, meet the people, get your community, and go back to your gym and implement whatever you learned. And the whole goal is whatever you paid to show up to Peak IndyCon, that you make way more than that based on what you implement. So just wanted to touch on that. And for anyone who's interested in the parkour industry convention. Okay, back to you guys. Tell me a little bit about how you actually opened the gym. Like, where did you get your funding? How did you get the first building? Because there's definitely people who listen to this who don't have a gym, or who are maybe they have an outdoor class already and they're interested in finding a gym. So just to touch on how you opened, and then when you opened, what were your original prices? How was it, anything that stands out to you, and then from there we'll kind of teleport to the future.
Okay. How we opened the gym, it was peer pressure, I would say. We had no intention of opening a gym. We trained people out of our garage. We trained people in Kung Fu, and then we were also doing the parkour jams. So parkour people would come and train in Kung Fu, you know, at our house. And then we'd go out to the parkour jams and train in parkour. So we were kind of just like this organic community that was sharing movement knowledge and just sharing our love of movement. So we had no intention of opening a gym, nor did we have money to open a gym. We were scrappy, super young couple. We had 4 kids, all under the age of 5, you know, and because I had twins. So it was like, we were not thinking about starting some big business venture. I had a really successful e-commerce business, and my husband was working for a law office. Full time. So we were just doing the, you know, regular adulting, take care of the family and train as much as we have time for. So little by little, the people in the community, in the parkour community, and the students that were training out of our garage were just like, you guys should start a school. You need to start a school. And we were like, no, we're not going to start a school. That seems like the worst idea ever. And Lon and I, we worked in Hollywood as stunt performers, and we had this pretty eclectic movement background. We toured the world. We were in films. And so I felt like I needed stability. You know, I was like, I lived that performer life. And once the kids started coming along, I was like, I need to just sort of hunker down and make sure I can feed my children and pay our mortgage and do those things. So, but just little by little, people kept, you know, saying, well, you guys just start a school, you know, maybe we could help you find a place. And it just kind of, I think all that like people just wanting it so bad sort of inspired us in a way. And I literally was just kind of thinking about it. And then I had a vision, actually, like this thing that went into my brain suddenly. And I was like, oh, and then I saw it, and I saw that it was, you know, we could start a parkour gym, you know, but also, you know, include, you know, our Kung Fu students. And I had exposure. We had both had exposure to lots of different movement practices working in the stunt industry. And so I was like, you know, what would be really cool is if we had this, and this, and that would be amazing. And so we started looking at spaces. We had, I think, and then we partnered with Corey Romines, who is like heading up the parkour jams and stuff. And we basically I put together a business plan and a pitch that was just sort of like my vision. And we pitched it at one of the parkour jams. You know, we were like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And they were like, yes, let's do it. We will support you.
Standing
so
ovation.
yeah, so everybody, yeah, so excited. Yeah, they were very excited. And I was like, okay, well, the community seems really enthused about this. So I think we'll have coaches and we'll have, you know, our initial members. So yeah, that was basically how it started. We had $12,000 of savings, you know, just from our other jobs and stuff. And I had Craigslist on my phone. I refreshed it every 5 minutes from the free section. and so I got like a lot of paint. I got building supplies. I got tools, you know, anything that we needed to build the gym. I literally just refreshed over and over on the Craigslist free section. A bunch of our chairs our original chairs and furniture were free, donated items. And we started
finding gyms that were closing.
Oh, yeah.
Like gymnastics gyms. And we would go and ape all of their equipment that they're throwing away.
Yeah. Or just
that's what our gym was made of for the first year.
It was pretty scrappy, but people loved it. You know, it was like our initial prices was $65 a month, you know, something insanely low, but that was kind of like what the martial arts gyms were charging at the time though too. And so then we kind of based our pricing off of martial arts studios. And so that's kind of like where we started in terms of like how we got into it. It was sort of this organic community, you know, pressure and then a vision and then just going for it, you know, just using the resources we had and, you know, taking help where help was needed.
Yeah, just a little bit. So we started at $65 a month, everybody was so excited. The prices were so low. They were lower than the martial arts gyms. It was lower than almost anything out there. And I think it was for $99, you could have unlimited classes. And we were at the gym for the first, I think, 2 or 3 years from almost 8 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, because that's what our hours were. And we had people on the unlimited that lived at our gym with their family. They just would come in the morning, stay all day for every single class. And that's kind of how we got our, like, this kind of crazy, very, very hardcore community that just wanted to be with us all the time. Until it got to the point where it was no longer manageable to have people there that long. And, because most of the time it was maybe 3 people there at the gym during the off times, and then it'd get crazy busy. And then again, from like 7 o'clock until like 10 o'clock, the same 3 people would be there. And we just had to be there for them, like, for years. And then eventually we kind of had to straighten some things out, learn from those processes, and a lot of what we're doing with you guys is like making it better and better.
Yeah, it's way better now. Those were crazy. Those are really crazy days, and I was like, nah, like that. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah, unlimited classes is something we see a lot, but often recommend against because of that. Like, you end up with families who treat your facility like a daycare. You can get those like kids who like totally fall in love with it and it's good for them, but then like 90% of all the other kids, it's a daycare for them. And if you really look at what's my value per class that I'm getting from these kids, it can be as low as like $4 a class when you really look at it at the end of the day. But your payroll, per hour with all employees included, is way more than that, especially if you only have 3 kids in the gym. So you think that it's this great selling point, this great sign up mechanism, but when you look at the metrics, it's actually like it's burning you out because of how much time you have to put into it now, because you have to honor every single one of those classes. It's creating like possibly some disrespect from client to the gym because they just live here now, So that's usually one of the things that we remove from the basic membership options. Yeah, cool. And then once that's removed, the value perception of each individual class just goes way up, because no longer is it just a free for all, but each individual class has its own implicit value when you charge per class. Okay, cool. So that brings us from starting the gym with $12,000. I love the Craigslist thing, hustling whatever free material you can, finding gyms that are closing, and gyms are closing often. This is not an easy business if you don't like really run it the way that it needs to be run. And most gyms don't. Most gymnastics gyms don't. Most martial arts gyms don't. So you see this like pretty solid turnover. There's probably 2 or 3 gyms in a 50-mile radius of wherever you are, dear listener, going out of business right now. So that's a great strategy. You can go and scoop up their stuff, implement it in where you are. And if you want to open up your own parkour gym, on our website, motionmentors.org, we have an article called How to Start a Parkour Gym. And it lays out the journey right there. And I think you guys just contributed to that. Like, how can I get a lot of this material? Like, where do I start? And you guys started out of your garage, hearing that too. Yeah. Okay, cool. So fast forward up to, you do go to the parkour industry convention. Tell me, what did you learn there? And then what did you actually take back and implement? And then what happened before starting with us?
So before we went to PK IndyCon, we actually never had a sales process. It was basically just like, do your free trial, take the class. Okay, sign up now, please. It was nothing formal. No, we didn't. All of our pricing was on our website. We just had like a flyer. We're like, here's the pricing. Okay. Are you going to sign up? That was basically it. There was we didn't do tours. We didn't we didn't give them we just didn't have a strategy at all. And so when we went to, and that was something I knew we needed. I just didn't know what to do really. I'm more of a coach and, an artist. And so that process, I was like, I don't know how to sell to people. All I know is how to create it. And then I hope you like it, I'll make it and then hopefully you like it enough to buy it. That's basically my skills end there. But when we went to PKNDCon, you guys spent almost an entire day on sales. And I'd gone to other business conventions and all that, and they have sales training, but their sales training is really kind of just general, it's general sales training. Oh, you got to get leads, and then you got to reach out to your leads, and then you got to follow up. And I'm like, I understand that, but I don't know like what to say other than like, my name's Elle. I'm from the Parkour Gym in Lincoln, and I have classes for you, and you should come and take the classes. And so there was no scripts, for us or anything. So we had scripts specifically for our parkour gym. We had the strategies, how do you frame parkour? Like, how do you talk about it? How do you increase the perception of value in their eyes, especially if they're used to taking free trials from us, because we did free trials. Now we don't. It's all paid trials, which we're so happy about. It's been fantastic. It's actually paying for our Facebook ads, just the paid trials. And yeah, and it's honestly, these are better leads. If they're willing to pay for the trial, they are a more qualified lead. So all those little steps and strategies have been very effective. And I would say that was one of the biggest takeaways was the sales training, the marketing training, and then in addition, your magic, like your wizardry in creating a very effective Facebook ad. Because I didn't know how to do that at all. Like I know how to make videos, but I don't know all the backdoor stuff that you got to do in the Meta app to make your ad actually work.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to add is just from, memories and nostalgia. Our marketing for 13 years was mostly stalking people on Facebook and saying, oh, yeah, they do birthdays over at this gym. And you only have so many hours to do that kind of thing. And you might hit, 6 or 7 people in, a week sometimes, not just a day. But, and then in the very beginning, we would print off flyers like the old school 50s and go to schools and illegally put them all over the lockers and stuff. And you're not supposed to do that, but that's, we didn't really have anything to do, but we are in the internet age now. And literally for about 13 years, we tried to do the online marketing thing. And without knowing it, we were marketing to the entire world, not the people around our area. And we were spent all the money that we spent, which was not very much because we just did not see any results. Mm-hmm. And there's very specific reason for that we know now. But we were wasted all this money trying to market to people in China that are not going to come here because we are in Lincoln, California. It was just really, I knew there was a huge way to grow just from the little bit that we learned from you, like on a day. And after learning that little bit and exploring that on my own, now I'm coaching 2 of my friends that own businesses on their Facebook ads. And well, you guys know you have to do this, right? Now I seem like a genius and I just learned this like 3 weeks ago. I just wanted to say that.
That's awesome. Okay. So got the sales process, and we'll walk through that in a second. Found a more strategic way to market. And to clarify, you guys were on Facebook, you were in Facebook groups. And when you saw like a mom being like, anyone know any good kids' birthday party? Then you would like jump in there and have that conversation, which is a good strategy. The value for that one person is pretty high. The main constraint there is like the amount of volume that you can do is pretty low because you only have like maybe 1 post a day if you're lucky. And we now know that it takes a lot more leads to come in the door to see the amount of volume that you want for the amount of signups per month that you want. We call that sales velocity. Your sales velocity wants to be a certain number. And to do that, if you kind of reverse engineer it, you can see I need this many trials because 80% of my trials convert, so that I need this amount to be this many actual signups. And if I want this many trials, well, then I need this many leads because I'll be able to book, 30, 40% of my leads. And that's like a much bigger number than like 2 Facebook conversations a day. So I like the strategy, just the volume's tough. And so, yeah, now shifting to, then I think you you were doing some Facebook ads, but I think we had talked about that you were just boosting posts.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's super common. And I remember when I did that before, really, I hired a mentor for myself to teach me all this too, like, back in 2018 or something. Before that, I was just boosting posts also. And it was explained to me that, yeah, when you boost a post, it goes out to people following your page and then people following them. And that's kind of it, and then if you boost it more generally, or you do go into the actual Meta backend and you just pay to promote it, if you don't really specify the location, you don't specify the age group, you don't specify maybe like a radius around your actual address, then it is just going out to the whole country or the whole world. So I don't know why Facebook doesn't make that more clear on it. Yeah. Zuckerberg, if you're listening, like there should be like, are you advertising locally? Yes. And then it just radiates it in for you. Like that would be useful. And without that, we were all just wasting our money, So you came, learned those things, you felt more convinced, and then you got a hold of us and you guys signed up for our biggest package at the time, which was like, come and do this with us and for us. So on this one, I actually showed up in the gym, trained you guys for 3 days, set up your ads remotely from my house. I set all that up with you for you, got that video made for you guys, and then set up your CRM and launched that. So yeah, that was a big package. How did that just like emotionally feel for you guys when you were looking at the number and wondering if this is going to work out?
Well, you gave us the guarantee, if you don't see a return on your investment, I'll give you your money back, And I was like, well, that's kind of an irresistible offer, right? It's like, okay, if it doesn't work, then yeah. So that showed me also a massive amount of just integrity and belief in your product. I thought, well, in your service. And I thought, okay, he knows it's going to work. So your certainty made me feel like really at ease. I just felt like, okay, he really thinks it's going to work. And he thinks we're also a good fit for his plan. So I think it's going to work. But also you coming to our gym and training our staff was also something I was really happy about because first of all, there's not very many mentors that will actually do that. That's like a whole unique service. I mean, without charging, like you could, there's mentors that do that, but the amount of money they charge is essentially buying a house, So I thought your price point was very reasonable and fair to come to the gym and actually train my staff and basically act as CEO for, a week. And so your energy that's here in the gym, training my staff, I think helped everybody else too that was doing the training where they're like, here's this guy that has, he's the expert. And also he has 3 other gyms that, are $1 million gyms that have done this strategy. Plus he's helped other gym owners all across the country and this plan works. So if I was to try to coach my staff in sales where I don't even have any experience, I just don't have the same, weight, on that. And plus I wouldn't feel confident or certain that it's going to work because I really don't know if it's going to work. Right. So your certainty and your expertise and your willingness to come in and train the staff and, behave as CEO essentially for a week, I think that really put me at ease. And I thought that was much more worth the price tag. I was like, okay, like he's really coming in here and doing the work. And so, yeah, that's pretty much like where I was at with it. You coming here in person, doing the training, so worth it.
What I would add to that is when you want to invest in something like that, it's a huge decision. It definitely is something that you have to talk over and think about and, be ready for. And the way that I see it is, and the way I was looking at it from the beginning is the potential that where our gym could go, where we're at and where it could go from here. And honestly, where I see our gym, the revenue wise and everything going into the future, I knew we just had all this untapped potential. I didn't know how to get there. And then going to the con and listening to what you guys are doing and seeing everything in action, hearing other gyms and their experiences and like how happy everyone was after going through the program, that helped a lot with the decision. And then honestly, the money back guarantee was great, but it was seeing how your training was, what you did with our trainers and desk managers, and and the practices. It was like real stuff that you'd get at any $100 million corporation training session. It wasn't. We've been through a lot. We've done so many things like MLMs and stuff. I've gone through so many of those where they say they have training and they're going to teach you all this stuff, and it's all the same stuff, vague platitudes, where they're just like, oh, you just got to sell. You just got to get more people in. You got to do this. And it's like, and they hype you up and ramp, get you all excited about it, but they don't teach you anything. You literally don't learn anything. And I've been through probably hundreds of those, and where you hope to get something out of it, and you might get something here and there, but it's mostly hype. But what we got when we invested in this is actual training, stuff that we'll use for the rest of the life of the gym, and we'll keep teaching people. And it's just that valuable. And so I definitely feel and see us getting to where our potential should be.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting into what did we specifically do with you guys? You had already increased your prices after PK and Econ. That was like one of the takeaways that you guys told me you had. And you went up to basically matching my price point in my gyms. So you're at $199 is your once a week program. And I love that. And then we did switch you from free trial to paid trial. You guys are saying that you're seeing better quality leads as people are more committed. It's helping pay for the ad spend. Yes. There's plenty of people listening to this who still do free trials. What's your thumbs up, thumbs down on if anyone should be doing free trials? 1, 2 thumbs down. All right, great. Yeah, I agree. And then, so we got your pricing figured out. We printed out some visual pricing binders to make the actual sales process easier. We set you guys up with a video ad. So made you a video ad. If you go to Facebook ad library, just search that on Google and you look up Parkour Performing Arts Academy, you can see their video, you can see my video. It's all up there. All ads on Facebook are public and viewable. And yeah, it's definitely talking right to your target audience. We are this parkour gym in Lincoln. Hey parents, this is what we do. This is what we offer. And then a call to action at the end of the video, click the button to see our schedule, come on in. Your pricing is no longer on your website. And we're doing that because people on average don't really know what parkour is. And so they might not know, is this like a fun house that I come and drop off my kid and they, like a trampoline park, they bounce around, we hope they don't get hurt? Or is this like an actual facility that invests in the kids and gets them through a curriculum and teaches them that they are an athlete, helps them discover that they can do hard things? And that's worth a lot more. And if we don't give that to the person at their trial class, and instead the other way around, they just look at your website, make their own conclusion of what it is, and then see your price. And then they're like, that's a lot more than the trampoline park. Then they don't even come in, right? So that's why we removed it from your website, replaced it with book a paid $30 trial class. So we're getting good quality leads. They show up, or actually they haven't showed up yet. That lead goes into the CRM. This is another big tool, kind of like a fundamental layer of your business that we added for you guys that you didn't have previously. The CRM is the client relationship management software. And this is when someone's on the website or wherever, they become a lead by filling out the form. And then that shows up in this new software that we had for you guys. And now your team can call, text, and email from the software. No one has to use their personal phone or their, whatever. And they can track those leads from, this is a new lead, came in 4 hours ago. That lead came in yesterday. This lead came in 2 days ago, and I've called them 3 times by now. These guys are booked, and I have a task that tells me when to send them a reminder or when I need to reschedule them or whatever. Let's hear your guys' perspective of how did that maybe shift or clarify or streamline your sales processes? Was it worth it? Because that's yet another monthly subscription onto a business, so that people could be super weary of that. And it only matters if it really actually moves the needle and generates you more money than the payment. So how has it worked out for you guys' business, the CRM?
I absolutely love the CRM. It's a total game changer. I got rid of some of our other services that we were paying for because I no longer need them because I have the CRM. So we had this text message blast alert thing. I'm not doing it anymore because I don't need it because we have the CRM. The CRM keeps everything really organized, and it gives us something to do that does move the needle. So essentially turning our front desk into a call center, which that's 1,000% what needed to happen. And it's not even something that occurred to me, and until we started doing the coaching and then did the CRM, because I just didn't know what to do. I'm like, okay, like how do we even get the leads from a Facebook ad? But now we just consistently have leads that are funneling into our CRM. We call them, we book a trial, usually over the phone, and then they come in, and it's so nice to be able to keep track of everybody and to know where they belong in our sales process, in our funnel. And I think that would make my brain go crazy if I couldn't just see it so plainly, on one screen, and it's super easy. Like you get your leads, it populates into a new lead column. I know those are the people I need to call, which your system of just having a pair of headphones and it's just like one click of the button, I can call them, and write all there in the CRM. I can also text message them and email them, which that's amazing. I don't have all these other, I don't even have to go to another screen, to do all that stuff. I can do everything in one place, which is such a time saver. And it's almost like a drag and drop. It's like, okay, after I've called them, texted them, emailed, I put them over into the contact one. And so it's just this beautiful streamlined system and process. And I couldn't have created that on my own. It's like, it's just all done for you. You just pay a monthly membership, monthly fee for it. And I think it's 100% worth it because it makes your front desk process a money generating machine, whereas it wasn't a money generating machine. Front desk was more like customer service, like come in, we talk to clients, we send them on their way, we answer some questions. Nope. Now our front desk is a money generating machine, and the CRM makes that possible.
We love the CRM, and you could probably tell that. Some of the things that it does specifically are things that I wished all of our online stuff would do. I know at least 2, and we've only had this for a couple of weeks now, but we've had 2 bookings of trials into the gym just through the CRM AI agent. And that was us not being able to answer the phone or whatever, an entire conversation happening with the CRM and the client. And boom, they come into the gym. We're like, oh, hi. And then we look them up. Oh, you've been talking to the robot. And the 2 that came in and did the trial, they signed up. And so that was like awesome. I mean, we were like, what? That actually happened. And it's like what you imagine your website or online presence to do if it was working how you imagined it. But with the CRM, it actually does it. And it's like, okay, it's like this really cool streamlined process. Again, we've only been using it for a few weeks. We're still learning a lot of the stuff, and it's a night and day difference. It's a game changer. And I would suggest it to everybody. Yeah, totally. Every business person should have that kind of thing going. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah. And that's why we made it. So if you go to crm.motionmentors.org, that's the page where you can sign up and learn more about the CRM. And what it is we set up like a template version of it that is how we run our parkour gyms. And when you sign up, it creates a duplicate of how ours is set up, including a lot of the automations and like the back end. If this happens, then do this and this and this. All that will duplicate onto your account also. And we're happy to jump in and teach you how to use it, do some custom stuff for whatever you got to do. As Lon said, it does have AI features. So it has an AI conversation agent. You can actually build multiple of those. So if you wanted to have one to trigger for new leads, it can. If you want to have one that triggers for customer service separately, it can. It has a voice AI agent. So if someone calls in and no one picks up, you can, like an actual voice. I'm sure you've heard them. They sound pretty real and they're only getting better and better. Like the latency, the pause between reply is getting shorter and shorter. And you can give that a script, just like the conversational text AI. And then if it collects names or ages or whatever, it saves that. And then you can have an automation send that to your sales team, have a notification be ready when they show up at their job at their front desk. And what I love about what you just said, your AI was fully responsible for getting those 2 new members in, but you guys only needed 1 member to more than cover your monthly cost of the CRM, which literally means the CRM actually paid for itself, which is pretty fun. So if you guys don't have a software to manage your leads and really get your hands around your business being able to call and book and sell to leads, the CRM, like, I would never run my business without it. I think that would be like an instant 50% like detraction to my business if my CRM all of a sudden was blown up. So head to crm.motionmentors.org for more on that. And I'm just remembering right now that we also tweaked a little bit of your guys' website, specifically the landing page was like the thing I wanted to tweak. So what we did there was we did a couple little tricks to it. Like we got rid of the header and the footer. So there's like, I like calling it like a little website jail. You know, when they end up on that page, the only thing that they can click on is to try a class and fill out the form. There's not like 16 different buttons across the top and the bottom saying like, and we do birthday parties, you know, read our history or here's our coaches. You know, it's just, here's what we are. Here's who we're for, parents in this area. You know, here's a couple FAQs to answer the questions that we already know you have. And then along the way, there's like a couple of buttons. All of them do the same thing. That's just opens up the form and they can become a lead. Okay. And then after that, they can go to a thank you page and then the menu comes back and then they can do whatever else they want on your website. But that way of thinking about like, how can I maximize the conversion of people looking at my website to becoming leads was also something I wanted to launch in tandem with your paid ads. And so both of those are sending leads to your website. You guys have said you've only been running this for a couple of weeks. Before we started recording, I looked at how many leads you got just on that lead form. So like just that one form on your website, and it's already at 109 leads have come into your CRM. So that's pretty sweet. Okay, so then your team, they're behind the desk on the days that they're working. I gave them the script for how to call. They know how to actually do it. You're not just calling, you're calling and texting and emailing. If you don't do all 3, it doesn't count. And then they progress them forward so that when they sit back down and they look at that one screen, they can tell these 15 people have already been called twice. These 4 people have only been called once. And they have like an order of operations. Call the new leads first, call the people with tasks booked second, and then get to everyone else. And there's a multi-step process there. And it gives your sales team, it gives your front desk team like you said, it's a call center. They are a revenue source for the business. A lot of times we'll hear like beginner gym owners basically say that they don't want to hire that because of the payroll. Like if I bring on someone, the payroll cost is just going to be too much. And if you are only doing customer service, I could see the argument in that. But now if your front desk team is dedicatedly calling and booking and they are a source of new members, and then last month they got 5 new people, this month they got 10 new people, and next month it's totally based on your ad spend. They might get 20 new people. Well, how long ago did we more than offset our payroll costs? You know, was that true in your guys' case?
I mean, I think 100% the lead form is working. You know, it's generating leads, but also it being a form where it's not they're not distracted by anything else. It's like your website jail strategy definitely works because it's like people come, they fill out the form, they get a call, and they get a follow-up, multiple times. I would say before we implemented the CRM, I would have never thought to call someone 4 times, or to do that many follow-ups. But a lady came in the other day that she was on the 4th call, which is the breakup call in the CRM. And yeah, she came in. She was just like, I'm so sorry. I was so busy. I'm so glad you guys kept reaching out to me, and they came in and they booked a trial. And I'm not sure if they ended up signing up yet, but
trial.
Yeah, they did a trial. But that was like, okay, even though we're putting a lot of time and energy into those follow-up calls, it's still, I would say it's definitely still paying for itself, and honestly, like the paid trials, every time we book one, it pays for our Facebook ads. And of course, every time we book a client, that more than covers, our costs, our payroll costs, plus, the people that are doing the sales are getting a commission as well. So I think overall, it's a highly efficient and effective system that is not only going to grow and scale our gym, but it's also creating a better work environment for our employees. It's the healthier the business is, the healthier the payroll is,
So yeah, when we first started going through all this and thinking about hiring a sales team, like that was nerve wracking to me because I was just like, well, where's that money going to come from? I mean, I'm going to have to front all this stuff and I don't know how it's going to work. So as a business owner, you know that you wear all the hats and you have to learn how this stuff works, and you're not doing anything more than being at the gym and making those calls yourself for the most part at the beginning. And so the sales, what we didn't do before that we're doing different now, Monday through Friday, all of our business hours, we have specific times that we have people, our desk managers, making calls and doing all that. They're all trained. They did the training with you. And we have specific hours that they are doing it. And the payroll difference has been basically negligible, nothing, because they were there already. Most of the time it was just sitting behind the desk when nobody's coming in. And so we actually are now using all that time. As the owners, when we're here, we do it. Our desk managers are doing it during the time they're here. And it's really just filling empty space. And so all the issues that I thought were going to happen, all this payroll, it turned into zero because we just organized it how it should have been in the first place. And honestly, hopefully that eases some people's mind that are thinking like I did, because honestly, that's all you have to do is whoever's behind the desk or already doing that is actually the sales team. And then when you scale and get big enough, well, yeah, of course you're going to hire somebody when you don't have the time to do it anymore. And you're going to do that because you can. Not because you have to and you're paying somebody all this money that you don't think you have. That's not how it works. And so anyways, that's been our experience.
Yeah, well said. You might already be spending the payroll if your team is just floating around watching YouTube videos, doing kind of nothing. If there's not someone in their face having a customer service moment, you might already be spending that payroll. So adding this actually just takes the money, the time you're already wasting, and just optimizes it and converts it into something that's productive. So yeah, good add on that. And then as you grow, you might add a second person, you might do whatever, but it's still like a revenue generating. The members you got last year that are still here from this process are paying forward. And this is long since been covered. Nice. Okay. So, we get people to book, they're doing a paid trial. So they show up, they take your class, and most parkour gyms are great at the actual parkour part, because that's where a lot of our passion is. So I didn't touch anything about how you guys are running your gym. That is something that I have heard is gym owners are like, well, I don't want you to mess with how I do parkour here. I don't want you to change our curriculum. I don't want you to tell my best coach he can't do this with the kids. I didn't mess with any of that with you guys. Later in the future, if you're having retention issues or if you're having we've hit max capacity issues, then we can look at things like that. And there's certainly strategies there. But for the most part, parkour gyms kind of crush it on that sense. So they come, they take their class. For you guys, we have our weekly membership price. We have you guys billing every 4 weeks. So that's not monthly. If you just switch to weekly, you actually make 8% more revenue instantly for no more work. Side tangent. But I also had you guys start doing quarterly memberships. And that's where they prepay 3 months up front. So imagine paying what's that, $597 for your once a week. When I tell gym owners around the country, hey, you should probably make a pitch to that person on their very first day for 500 something bucks because of XYZ reasons. It helps your cash flow. It pays for your ads. It, pulls that cash forward into the future, which is important. It really freaks some gym owners out, because we have gym owners that are still at $100 or still at $130. And they're telling me I couldn't charge what you're doing because insert reasons here. So when I had you guys switch to actually let's charge maybe closer to $600. How did that really go? How many people are really doing that?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question, because when we first increased our prices, it almost gave me a panic attack, because I was like, I don't know if people are going to go for this. And our employees were also really questioning it because because a lot of our employees have been here since the beginning, 14 years. So they're like, whoa, when they saw like how much we were charging now, they were like, are we gonna get any new people? This is double what we were charging. And I just decided, I was like, you know what? I really believe this is what it's worth. I believe it is what it's worth. I've always felt we undercharged. I just didn't know how to sell it for what I thought it was worth. So and then also the idea of selling someone on $600 was like, oh my gosh, like I've never done that before. That just seems really scary. And it was surprisingly easy. Like the first few people, I would say probably 50% of people were not signing up, which we normally had like a 99 conversion rate, 99%. It was really high. But the thing is, we had so few leads coming in. We only had like maybe 5 new signups a month. And so people would come in and most of the time they would sign up because it was just a no-brainer because we were so cheap. It was like so cheap, but that's also something that like, man, if everybody signs up, maybe we should increase the price, and that was one of the things that you had mentioned, like, well, if everybody's signing up, that means you're undercharging, and I was like, that is so true. If just everybody that walks in, takes the class, they love it, we're crushing it, in our classes. Kids are loving it, having fun. And then the parents see the price. They're like, oh yeah, no brainer, So, but it should be a stretch, this is a luxury service. So it shouldn't be less than a trampoline park. That makes total sense. This should not be priced less than a trampoline park. That makes no sense at all. So when we doubled our prices and then started doing the quarterly billing, the first few people that I pitched it to, I felt really calm. I was like, you know what? This is what it's worth. And this is the first time I'm actually going to charge what it's worth. And people signed up, and most people sign up for the quarterly. Most people see the quarterly and they think, you know what? This is an investment. I'd rather pay less often. I'd rather not think about it. I'd rather just pay for it and then not think about it for 3 months. And I didn't know that was a really kind of normal buyer behavior thing. I didn't know that until I started selling the quarterly packages. And I was like, okay, most people go for the quarterly because they would rather not think about a monthly expense. They would rather think about it, a few times a year. If I can just pay for this thing 4 times a year, I'm good with that. It was really scary for me, but it just also logically made sense. I was like, okay, we definitely should be more than a trampoline park. We should definitely, I definitely believe in our service. I definitely believe we change lives and impact them. I definitely believe we crush it in the athletic development department, So for me, it was just deciding we were going to start charging for what it was worth.
I think the only thing that I would add is increasing your prices is always it's almost like a fear thing. You don't know what the market's going to do for the people around. You're used to doing it at a certain amount. And then in order to charge it and feel good about it, you actually have to believe in what you're doing. And when we think about it, we absolutely believe it's worth this. And we want it to be accessible to as many people as possible. And that's part of the thinking when you have lower prices. But the people that are signing up, they don't think twice. That's been our experience. The people that maybe had come back from before, there's a little gasp like, oh, things did increase. But our highest sellers are the 12-week. They are the 3-month packages, and they don't bat an eye. They see that it's worth it, and when you see that, it really makes you realize, oh, what I'm doing is worth this. What we're doing is special, and it's for many reasons. It just gives you this feeling of value for your business that wasn't there before when you're underselling. And it's one of the best things that we've done.
I love what you said about the value of it. It kind of changes your own relationship with it.
Yes.
You can see a different future with the business now also. And that's huge. So I'm glad that it had that impact on you guys. All right. So you doubled your base prices. That alone, plenty of gym owners or small business owners at large, nail salons even would freak out at that. Yeah. But you actually just said, not only did you double your prices, the people who are buying something that's 6 times more, because it's the double and then the quarterly, because they're paying for 3 months up front. So that price that they're paying on day 1 is 6 times more. But are you guys actually signing up more people than before compared to before you started running ads and all that?
I would say before we had like a 99% conversion rate, but we hardly had anybody coming in through the door,
Amount of people who sign up.
Oh, I would say that has not changed. Like we are signing up more people now. Like we are signing up more people now than we were ever. Like we've had our best month. This is since we signed up and raised our prices and did the Facebook ads and did the sales training. On average, we would get maybe 4 or 5 new signups a month. That was like our average. November was always, we were negative. We would always lose members in November. Now we have at least 10 new signups in the last, couple weeks since we started. And so it's not only the best November we've ever had in the life cycle of our business, but also that's double what we were doing before. And our prices are double, but we're actually selling double the amount of members than we have before. So yeah, it is definitely a lot better than what we were doing before. So changing our prices or increasing our prices did not make it so we were selling less memberships.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that we were probably averaging between 5 and 6 signups a month before doing this. And that was kind of our normal. We'd lose a few, we'd gain a few, and 5 to 6 would keep us like normal. And November and June are kind of our slump months where we usually see the numbers go down and then slowly climb back up. And I just want to say that after doing the Facebook ads and then doubling our ad spend, and one day in November, I personally made 5 or 6 signups that day on leads that came in. And that was as much as an entire month for most of the year. Mm-hmm. And now in our slump month, which is November, the numbers on the graph are higher than every other month this year for current memberships. And so, when we looked at that, it was just like, well, this is our slow month. What's our high month going to be?
Yeah. And it's November right now. So we got January coming up.
Exactly.
And the parkour businesses that are in our ongoing program, they're already receiving like tidbits of here's what we're going to do in January. Here's my strategy for January. And we're going to like lay it out. And at the beginning of December, that'll kind of like be the conversation so that when January starts, all the gyms in the ongoing mentorship program they're just going to, have that result on Supercharge. Okay. So you guys double your prices. You now have double the signups. It's your best, usually your worst month, but now it's the best month. That's all hell yes across the board. And so what's behind that is when I did show up to give your team the sales training, of which you guys had 2 of your own sons in it. So that was fun. It was like a little family moment, and a couple of your other coaches and your front desk guy. We really clarified how do we actually talk about parkour to people. And that's important because as parkour coaches, we like to be like, oh yeah, we do crazy flips and things, but parents just want their kid to like learn something at ground level and be safe. So we kind of adjusted, how do we talk about it? How do we talk about the business? And we pre-solve some of the objections, some of the problems that they're going to have. We pre-solve that when we're talking about our business so that we build trust before we actually ask for any price. We walked through exactly how do you pitch the membership price, and then what is the thing you say when you actually ask for the sale. Like it's the price is this. Do you want this version or this version? We ask, which one do you want? We don't say, do you want it? Mm-hmm. We talked a lot about assumption sales language, those ways to edit how you phrase questions to just make it way easier. We talked about if they have an objection, which is basically they say no to your asking for the sale, like it's too much money, or my schedule's weird, my kid's playing another sport, so I need to talk to my spouse. Every single one of those, we did this for like a whole 24 or a whole day. We did half one day, half the next day, and then we trained it again on the third day. We practice each one of those. If they say this, do this, and then do this, and then do this. And if you zoom out and look at all the options, there's like 25 or something different options. But Lon, you were saying that since you've actually gotten to like make a bunch of sales since our training, it's been feeling smooth and like it makes a lot of sense to you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great. Yeah. So we did a lot of that, wrapped it all up by just role playing the heck out of all of it. We spent a moment taking everything. What do you do to call the person? What do you do if they show up? How do you actually pitch to them? And then we did this fun thing called the objection gauntlet, which is like me and a role player, me and you. If I'm selling to you, you just always say no because of price, no because of family, no because of my dog's sick, no because of whatever. And it's up to me in this role playing game to just always stick in there. And it's little tactics like that and that consistent training that really take a sales team to that next level of confidence and being able to thrive. Okay, so you guys are crushing it. You're hitting these record membership sales levels at record prices for you guys. So the future, I'm sure, is going to hold record levels of revenue and profit, and your ability to invest in your team, give your coaches what they need to thrive. If there's anything you want to do for your gym space, you'll be able to do that. Anything you want to do for your own family, because it's your business and this is why we're here, you'll be able to do that. So before we sign off, like, what do you think the future of your family or this business or your own parkour community looks like as a result of all of this?
I think joining Motion Mentors was the most critical step we could have taken to ensure a lasting and sustainable future. So I really think that I feel really confident and excited about the future. I think we're going to crush it. And I would say I was not feeling that earlier this year. I was feeling worried and very anxious and just like not sure, because I wholeheartedly was feeling the burnout. You know, I was like, man, I don't know how much longer I can hustle like this, you know, but having these systems and these processes, oh my gosh, it's been like a burden that has been lifted. And I feel that there's this whole new focus. I feel the efficiency, you know, and I see the numbers and I see the measurable results. You know, I see like, okay, the work we're putting in is equaling to this amount of revenue. And oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful thing. It is such a beautiful thing for the math to make sense, right? And so I'm really excited. I'm excited for January. I think next year is I'm just excited. And I think this was probably the best decision we could have made for our business.
100% agree. I basically feel like investing in Motion Mentors in the program was just investing in our gym.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we wanted to do. And it was the best choice. And looking back on it, wouldn't have changed anything. I feel that it's always been in my mind that we're going to get there, but we are $1 million gym, and with Motion Mentors, we're totally going to get there.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. You heard it straight from them. That's Elle and Lon from the Parkour Performing Arts Center here in Lincoln. So if you're ever in Northern California, around Sacramento, come on out and check them out. Both of you, thank you so much for your generosity and your sharing, and also just like getting the work done and hanging in there. And you know, like it's one thing to learn, it's another thing to implement, and it's a third thing to crush it. And you guys have been crushing it. That's very cool for me to see. So I hope to see you guys back at PKNDCon and hope to keep working with you in the future. And for everyone else, you can head to motionmentors.org. We have a ton of free content. If you go to the blog, you know, there's like all sorts of free trainings that are actionable. You can use them right now to make money in your business. We have the Parkour Industry Convention once a year, so check that on the website. And that's an in-person multi-day event. I think it's super valuable to go to. And then lastly, we have our book, $1 Million Parkour Gym. It's only $29. Pick that up. It's got like pretty much everything that we do is in the book. So it's all right there for you. My goal with Motion Mentors is just grow the parkour industry, because if you know that as that tide rises, it really does raise all of our ships. And if we have these successful parkour gyms all across the country, you know, in the US and Canada and London and India, wherever that we can have parkour gyms, our sport will become that actual legitimate sport. And then we could have these other industries grow and develop within it, you know? And it all starts with those kids who are getting interested in parkour, because if we don't have athletes, we don't have an industry, we don't have a sport. So thank you guys for helping me on that journey. All right, everyone listening, thank you very much. And until next time, bye.